Hello, everybody. I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Live Q&A. Last live Q&A of November 2020. We're glad you're here today. So we're going to get started here. If you have any questions, I'll answer them live here. We'll talk about whatever. When you play Dominion, I'll answer this right away. Do you use the black market in every game? I do, if possible. I love the black market so much. Do you use any other promos? Well, sure, I just throw any promos in I like, but the black market I always use. Hi, Tom. Glad you enjoyed Rhythm of War. How long did it take you to reread part 1? It was a day. It took me ages to go through it. Do you have some special method of speed reading? No, I just speed read. I don't know how to explain it. I can tell you I don't read every word when I super speed read. I don't read every word. It's hard to explain. I'll be speed reading and then I'll slow down because something gets really interesting and I'll read much more slowly. Is cereal soup? No. Why? No. Who's thinking it's soup? That's crazy. Really enjoyed Clank and Space and looking forward to Dune Imperium. What do you think they'll combine deck building with X? I don't know. But they're definitely using it in various unique, interesting ways. Have you ever read a Warhammer 40K book? I read, I think, half of one and then I got bored. I really hate that universe. I mean, with all due respect to Games Workshop, this everything is war. It's just not interesting to read about. Favorite Christmas song? You know, I actually was debating whether I was going to do a top 10 list of off-brand Christmas songs. So I'm going to actually pull up my Spotify list here. And where's my Vasel's Christmas list? Okay. And I'm going to go through my favorite songs that are not traditional Christmas songs. Okay, and this is not going to be in any particular order. Let me see. And I'm going to pick secular songs for this particular time because there's a lot of different ones of various things. Probably The Bell That Couldn't Jingle. Although I do hear that one a lot on the radio, so we won't count that one. Let's keep going. Let me see. Let's see here. Good non-traditional ones here. Christmas in there. I like this. I'm going through my list. It's in alphabetical order. I have Christmas in Cajun Land, Christmas in Cali, Christmas in Carolina, Christmas in Dixie, Christmas in Indiana, Christmas in my hometown, Christmas in Nebraska, Christmas in New Orleans, Christmas in New York. By the way, Christmas in New York is one of my favorite non-traditional ones. I really like Christmas in New York. Christmas is Starting Now. I like that one a lot, especially the Big Bag Voodoo Daddy version of it. Christmas Lights, definitely. I like that one a lot. Let's see here. Elf's Lament, for sure, is on the thing. Did I miss one? Let me see. Christmas at the Airport. I really like that home. I really like that one. Driving Home for Christmas. I really like that one. The Governor's Dream. I like that one. Bum ba bum ba dum. Let me see what else I like. I like the. Well, no, that's not. That's a traditional song, so I can't say that one. A lot of these songs are grayed out. I'm wondering why. Maybe that particular album is no longer available on Spotify. I'm gonna have to go through and fix that at some time. Sunny Christmas, I like. Oh, that's interesting. Now that I have these in order, I realize I have I have some duplicate songs here that I'm gonna have to go out and fix. Huh. All right. Well, anyway, those are some of them. All right, we're taking too long on this particular thing. So let's jump back to questions. Let's see here. Pro or anti-tinsel? I guess I'm pro tinsel. I just hung it up all over my house. So I guess I'm pro. I bought those. I don't know if any of you saw them on Facebook, those lights that go around the tree that you can program to do different things, and I'm really happy with them. I've been saving money because we needed new Christmas lights. I've been putting it off, and so that's what I got, and they work really well. I can't answer a question about should you get the new one or old Hero Quest. I'll actually see the new one in hand. My wife's eyes just absorb large blocks of text naturally. Yeah, that's what I do too. I don't know how to explain it. I just look and I can get the idea of what's going on. Sometimes it's problematic because I'll miss a critical word sometimes in a sentence, and it makes when I read something out loud. Like when I read books to my son, and I always paraphrase everything. But he's learning to read right now, and so I'm trying my hardest when I read a book to him at night to read it the way it's written in case he's reading with me so that he gets the words right. But when I do a sermon at church, I'll write out the whole, a lot of stuff, and I just skim over it and say whatever I'm going to say. I can't. At college, I got busted all the time because I could not memorize stuff. I mean, I can memorize it a little bit, but I just paraphrase everything, which is good in most things, but very problematic for when you're supposed to do a memorized speech. Isn't Tannenbaum the best Christmas song ever? No, it's boring to me. How many games do you think you could teach without referencing the rule book? Probably not that many. I'll say without referencing it at all, probably less than 200. I would probably want to look at the rule book for most games. Because I would be like, do you draw 6 cards or 5 cards? How much money does everyone start with? I would have to look up something. There's a lot I could teach without the rule book, but not many. Huh. Did you lose your taste for Imperial Assault? Well, not particularly. I like Imperial Assault. I just don't play it that much these days, but I don't play a lot of games these days. Let me rephrase that. I play a lot of games, but I don't play a lot of older games regularly. I still think it's fun and exciting and interesting. It's just been a while since I played it. Tom, will you be Santa Claus this year for the kids? No, I don't. I've never done that, actually. Maybe when I'm older and have a whiter beard. Mannheim Steamroller or Trans-Siberian? Ooh, that's a good question. It depends on the song. Actually, now I'm going to pull up Spotify. So I just closed it all, but hang on. And let's see which one I have more of on my list. Because I guess that would clinch it, right? So Mannheim, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Joy to the World, Messengers of Christmas, Feliz Navidad, Masters in the Hall, Deck the Halls, We Three Kings, Carol of the Bells, which is the classic, Good King, Wenceslas, and Catching Snowflakes on Your Tongue. All right, so then we'll go down to Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Christmas Canon, O Come All Ye Faithful, O Holy Night, Dreams of Fireflies, What Child Is This? A Mad Russian's Christmas. So I guess Mannheim Steamroller. But that's just me going by the number I put on my list. Any advice on getting cards unstuck with minimal damage to the cards? It's a smallish spot in the middle of the cards. I don't know. Maybe Gugon? I'm not really sure. That's probably happened to me before, and I just pulled them apart, and then I was annoyed. But I'm not sure, actually. Let's see. What do you think about folded space custom inserts? I think they're fine. Let's see here. Do you have any guesstimation on when we might get some news about Dice Tower West? Hopefully soon. The hotels usually reevaluate everything at the beginning of each month. So since we're about at the beginning of December, hopefully the hotel will give us a straight answer and we'll be able to get back in touch with you about that. As soon as I know, you will know within 24 hours. Any suggestions for a person who's starting to get into war games? I know they can be really complicated. Is a simple war game for a good introduction? I don't know if I'm really good at helping you there because a lot of games, I think there's a lot of simple war games out there. Memoir 44, things like that. But then some heavy grognard will come in and slap me around and say those aren't really war games or they're too simple. But I would pick a Command and Colors game, whether it's Memoir 44 or Command and Colors, Ancients, like that. That would be my choice. Or, of course, Undaunted is also a good intro. Tom, where does Whistle Mountain rank in games that come out this year to you? I just got it. It's my game of the year for sure. I guess you'll have to wait and see. The Winter Spectacular, 2 weeks from today, the Winter Spectacular will start. We have scheduled over 15 top 10s during that time, including our top 10 of the year. What's going to be there? I have all mine done. They're finished. Now, obviously, I suppose I could play a game in the next 2 weeks that might change my mind. I haven't played everything that came out in 2020, but I played 300 games in 2020. So I feel like I have a pretty good idea. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to tell you about some of the stuff. And I'll tell you, making a top 10 this year was tough. Tough. But enjoyable. Do you have a favorite non-movie Christmas special? Oh, you mean like an actual... I'm sure there's 1 or 2 different episodes of TV shows that I really liked that were Christmas themed, but I don't know off the top of my head what those might be. I'm sure there's something. Oh, wait, the claymation specials? Are you talking about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Because that is a movie. It just was one that was put on TV. So sure, I love all of those. Oh, my favorite Christmas movie? I don't know. I'd have to do a top 10 list of that. Because there's a lot of them out there. I don't know what I would say off the top of my head. Like the one movie? I'm not sure. What is a typical Christmas dinner at the Vasel's home? Well, it's actually morphed, but we're pretty set on it being shrimp and sausage. Shrimp and sausage that I mix together, but I mean like jumbo shrimp and sausage. And then I either do it with pasta or potatoes. I'll probably do it with potatoes because I like potatoes. And then desserts up the wazoo. Key lime pies, and other random desserts. Hey, Tom, I'm not trying to spam at all. Well, I guess this is the first time I've seen the question, so I don't feel like you're spamming yet. But what do you think of the idea of board game rental? I've started a company in the UK providing this service. Well, I think it's a losing proposition. I know that's going to sound negative because you're starting it. The problem with board game rental is it's a tough gig. You're going to lose pieces. I lose pieces for games. I run a board game conventions. I have a huge board game library. Every single con, we tell everyone, please be careful. I assume people are trying to be careful. Pieces get lost. Pieces get stolen. Pieces don't go back. That's tough. And then there's the mailing it. If you're doing it in the mail, which is even harder, but if you're doing it locally, it's going to be hard to figure out, do I even have enough demand for it? I don't know if that's possible to do locally. You'd have to mail it. Then with the mailing comes so many other problems, getting them back and in. And I think it's possible. So I don't mean to be negative at all in that regard. I just think that I think the return would not be high. Also, people don't want to pay a lot to rent games. I would be hesitant to pay much to rent a game at all. From a consumer standpoint, if someone say, hey, you want to rent a board game for a week? I'd be like, oh, okay, sure. How much? $5? Oh, you want 10? I don't know. 10 seems like a lot. But let's say it was 10, then you would still have to rent the game out 6 times before you make a profit. And at 6 times, you're going to lose some pieces. Where are those pieces going to come from? It's been done by companies before, and every single one of those companies, as far as I know, is out of business. I'm accepting here, obviously, the local game stores that do it, because that's a slightly different thing. Again, that's local, and they're doing it as a side hustle on top of what they do already. Or libraries that have them, but there again, you don't pay anything, it's free. Would you rather go to a bluegrass festival or a rave? A bluegrass festival. Raves just sound horrible. I don't know that I would want to go to a bluegrass festival per se, but a rave, I have no interest in that. Has anyone ever played the official rules of Just One, where if the last card is guessed incorrectly, you subtract a point off your score? I don't remember the last time I played Just One where we even kept score. We just kept playing, and you get it right or wrong. I know some people keep score, and that's fine, but whatever. We just play. Just keep going and going and going and going, and people drop in and out. Have I ever been to Puerto Rico? I have not. Tom, what game can you get most of your family to play at one time and have them all enjoy? Any of the large party games. Faces is probably the number one. Favorite Christmas traditions? Well, I like that every Friday after Thanksgiving, we put up the lights and stuff. So every year it seems like there's a different daughter in charge of the Christmas tree because they keep going off to college on me. So Holly was in charge this year. And then some of the kids wanted to put lights outside the house, and I said I wasn't going to do that, and they went and did it themselves, and that was fine. My preference is I put the lights up in our house. So we're in a U, where you drive through the U, and we're exactly in the middle. The number of cars that drive by our house is very few, because anyone who lives in that U is probably going to go out the shorter way. I mean, cars do go by, but very rarely, compared to, like, at night, maybe 4 or 5 cars. Maybe, I don't know, maybe more than that, but I don't know. Not that many. So I was like, why should I put lights outside my house? I'd rather have them inside the house where I can see them. So I string them up the stairs so that we see them. Those laser light things, I have them inside the house. And at night, they're shooting stars and stuff around the house. I put up different decorations all in the house. That's what I like. I'm like, hey, I like Christmas decorations. I don't want to stick them on the outside house. I want to stick them on the inside house where we can see them. So that's my Christmas tradition. My Christmas tradition, spoonerism. Other than that, nothing really. The night before Christmas, we read the Christmas story, we open up stockings, then we get up the next day and do Christmas. And then I invite all the Dice Tower employees, and usually, well, I have in the past, invited everybody over for a Christmas party. What was the last photo you took? That's a good question. I will look. The last photo I took a photo of a FedEx package receipt and sent it to Roy. And then I took a picture of a board game that I liked a lot and sent it to Z. Then I took a picture of Dwellings of Eldervale, the monsters. And then I took a picture of a key lime pie that got made for me. Ooh, look at the key lime pie. With cookies and marshmallows in it. Tom, thoughts on only one new game on Mars from 2020 being in the top 500 on Board Game Geek. Is that true? I mean, it's possibly true. I know that if we include 2019, there's plenty of games. But I would argue that, let's see. My answer before I even look at everything is it's in the top. No, what are you talking about? Gloomhaven Jaws of Lion is also in the top 500. And so is Eclipse. But you're saying new games, so you're not including Gloomhaven and Eclipse. I just think the other ones are going to move up eventually. I mean, everything moves up slowly. I mean, unless it's a really, really hot game. I'm assuming they're all going to move up. Lots of these games that have just come out at the end of the year are probably going to be in the top 500, but they just haven't gotten up there yet. So I don't know or care about that really. It's too early to tell. You can come back to me at the end of 2021 and say, see, I told you no 2020 games hit the top 500. But when we look at 2019, and we don't have a snapshot of this time in 2019, in 2019, there's a lot of games that are in the top 500. We got, I'll put them in order here, hang on. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, no, 36. And in fact, of these games that are listed as 2019, 1, 2, hang on, I'm looking through them all. 2 of them are actually 2020 games. So there's 3 games. And you say, well, why are they listed as 2019? Well, because that's when BGG listed them and didn't change anything. So there's actually 3 games in the top 500 on BGG. And the answer is simple. On Mars came out very beginning of the year. The other 2 games were listed as 2019. They also came out at the very beginning of the year. And so the longer a game is on Board Game Geek, the more it's going to climb up the ratings. So I have no thoughts on it. But let me be clear. I think 2020 was an amazing, fantastic year of gaming. And every year people come, and this has happened now for the past decade. I'll say, this has been a great year for gaming. People are like, well, actually, blah, 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 look at all these stats and stuff. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's a great year. 2020, if I could only play games from 2020 for the rest of my life, I'd be okay. There's that many cool games that came out this year. Do you own a Christmas fedora? I do. It's a little too small for my head, so I don't wear it very often. Can you compare and contrast Dune Imperium and the Lost Ruins of Arnak? I can't. I mean, I can, but I won't. People keep asking me that. I know they're both deck builder worker placement games. That is literally where the comparisons end. There is no other similarities between them. Now, yes, that's granted. That's 2 major mechanisms, but they don't deserve comparison for any other reason. They're very, very different games after that. I like them both, but they're very different games. And just because they both have deck building and worker placement, which is interesting that it came out at the same time, simultaneous design, the games are very different. And again, for people like, oh my word, only one game from 2020 in the top 500, that is not crazy. That is not rare. That is not that big of a deal. It is simply has to do with time. And 2020 is going to exacerbate that even more because a lot of games haven't got out to where a lot of people can rate them and shoot them up higher, faster. So I'll tell you there will be at least 10 by this time next year, at least. I'd go so far to say there will be 20 or so. I'll make some calls as to what those games will be, too. I can guarantee you that Dwellings of Eldervale will hit top 500. It's going to backers now. And what other games? I don't know if that will hit top 500 or not. But there's other games that have come out this year that will hit the top 500. You watch. Who is the messiest person you know? If your answer is I don't know any really messy person, that means the answer is you. You are the messiest person you know? Well, that's a rude question. Do you think I'm messy? Is that why you asked it? Or is this a statement you're making? I know some messy people. There was a person that I still know this person. There have been a few people in my life who I knew they were messy when I helped them move. I am still mind-boggled about this. This is my public service announcement. If you ask people to help you move, people don't want to help you move. Just general matter course. People will tell you they're willing and whatever. I'll tell you I'm willing. I'll help you move. I don't like it, but I'll help. It's not fun. And I'll tell you one of the reasons it's not fun is because I would say more than half the time I help people move, I get to their house and they're not ready to move. That has always blown my mind. If you come help me move, everything in my house will be in boxes when you show up, with maybe the exception of stuff that we wore to bed that night or something. But I've gone to so many people's houses and they hand you a box and they're like, just grab stuff off the counter and there's dirty stuff and you're like, did I show up on the wrong day here? And I've always been mind-boggled by that. You need people to help you move, for sure. But unless you're old and feeble, you don't need people to help you pack. And that's just, and some people may watch this and they go, Tom, you help me move. Are you talking about me? I'm talking about like 40, 50 different people who I've helped move over the years. Now, helping someone move in is easier because you're unloading the truck, right, or whatever. And it's, but to people moving out, man. But I can tell people who've been in the military because their stuff is always ready to go in boxes. Fantastic. When Chris, our last video editor, moved in here, his stuff was just like, oh, so organized. And I love that. Have I tried Honey Buzz? I have tried it and I liked it. What is the best and worst purchases you've ever made? I would have to sit and think about life. I'll tell you the best purchase I ever made was an engagement ring. Now, you might argue and say that I could get married without the engagement ring. So, but if we look at the bigger picture there, not even a close second. Like not even a mile close second. Okay. I sold my Nintendo 64 to buy that engagement ring. So worth it. So worth it. Like as in something I use, or I don't know. There's so many things in life. Every once in a while I'll be like, that one, I'm so glad I bought that, whatever it was. I mean, I guess if I was going to say second off the top of my head, I would say my first Mac computer. I'm not like a Mac addict, but because I bought a computer that came with a camera in the computer, I thought, I'll do some video recordings on my laptop computer, and that changed my life completely. I would not be where I'm at today because of that. Worst purchases? Who knows? There's a million things I've bought. I bought a junky car, a lemon of a car. I bought things that never got used. You know, I guess the worst would be like a huge purchase where you lost a lot of money. I don't know that I've done anything dramatically, horrifyingly bad like that. Are you excited for the Marvel Smash Up? Sure. I like Smash Up. The idea of mixing stuff together in that circumstance works well. What other licenses would I like to see? Pretty much anything. I'm okay with it. Question, will we get a Sam top 100 games this year? I don't think so because Sam no longer works with the Dice Tower. Sam's working for Mythic Games. And while we still talk to Sam and we're on very good terms with Sam, he doesn't work for us anymore, so he's not going to do a top 100 games. Also, I feel pretty confident that I've been, following Sam and stuff, and he's playing some games this year, but not nearly as many as he would if he was working with us, and he's doing a lot of Mythic games. So it wouldn't be that dramatically different probably than last year. Any new categories for top 10s of the year, apps or reprints? Oh, that's right. I am doing reprints, but I forgot about apps. I should do a top 10 apps. It's just problematic trying to figure out what apps came out this year or not. But I did ask about that. It may be a top 5, actually. What movie quotes do I use on a regular basis? So very many. They just walk into your vocabulary and you end up using them. What kind of hobbies does my wife have? She likes to read. She likes to watch Korean dramas. She likes to do jigsaw puzzles. What's the game on the right called? Well, this one's called Sumatra. I don't know what right we're talking about. So that's called Sumatra, and this one's called Paleo. But the lighting is very bright here. See it? Da-na-na-na. Now you can't. Let me see if I warm up the temperature. Nope, that does not work. Let's see if I do that and that. Now I'm a little darker, but you can read the name. I didn't even notice that. Thank you for all the people saying very nice things. We took your advice and just finished a Scooby-Doo escape room. What should we play next? Shining has been pre-ordered. Just as a heads up, the Scooby-Doo and the Shining are very different, if just on basis of theme. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you were given a 1-minute ad slot during the Super Bowl that you couldn't sell, good call, because that'd be the first thing I would do. What would you feel? I'd make an ad for the Dice Tower. Why not? That'd be cool. Using a hairdryer to warm up the cards and then stick them? That might work. That's a good idea. Math puzzles or word puzzles? Easily math. I like math puzzles better. If magic was real, what spell would you try to learn first? Something that would make something appear that I could then eat. Any kind of food I want. Tart. Ho, ho, ho. I'm the fattest magician alive. Any chance of a top 10 games better without its expansions? Probably not. That's one of those top 10s that I don't know that would be useful. It would be really hard. I'd have to think of games that had expansions, but I don't really care for the expansions. I can think of a few off the top of my head because I just think, oh yeah, I like the game without its expansions. But no, I don't think we'll do that one. Tom, what's your family's favorite Christmas meal? Well, I already mentioned shrimp and sausage. Everyone likes it. And who's the cook in the family? My wife is the cook in our family, although I am the holiday cook. Although I've been trying to cook more often now, like pick a day once a week where I will cook for my family. But I just cooked most of the Thanksgiving meal. I refuse to make the sweet potatoes, so my wife makes those. And I've been cooking, try to once a week make some fancy type meal. I just like practicing. I know a guy in my church is the chef for the Marlins baseball team. And so he's a really good cook. And I asked him, and he's been giving me all kinds of ideas and hints. And he just told me about a store here that's about half an hour away, but I'm going to check it out next week, that sells some game. So I'm interested in, you know, he said they sell ostrich. So that'd be kind of interesting. I've never cooked that, so I thought that'd be a fun thing to try. The 3D printing is down right now because our printer is broken. Something happened with the head. Roy can't figure out what the problem is, and we simply haven't had time to get it fixed. I would love to get it fixed. I don't know what the problem is. It's driving me crazy that it's been like 6 months now since I 3D printed anything. I'd be printing stuff all the time, but until we get it fixed, we don't know. No one really knows how to fix it. If I was given $5 million to open a small museum, what kind of museum would you create? Well, obviously a board game one. That's the only thing I know anything about, enough to make a museum. Are there werewolf videos this week? There are indeed. Mike's working on it as we speak. Does your staff ever get tired of having to rank things? Maybe. You'd have to ask them that. I never get tired of it. I love it. I spent all weekend, or not all weekend, but a good chunk of the weekend, going through every game that came out in 2020 and putting them on multiple lists. I have so many different rankings and things. It's fun for me. The best, worst Christmas present I ever got? I don't know about the worst. My family gave me an easy chair one time. That was really nice. My wife bought me Domain. I know I bring it up a lot, but that still impressed me that she went down to Seoul to a board game cafe, used Board Game Geek. She didn't know much of this at the time. Hunted down a game that she thought I would like, guessing, and got it right. I'll never get rid of Domain for that reason alone. Yeah. Do members of your church ever question some of the darker themes in games you review or enjoy? That hasn't been brought up, but I don't know that I necessarily bring up they don't like look at every game I play either, right? I don't really talk about board gaming to people who I don't board game with that much. Like, I know people think I'm like this evangelist. I'm at the store and lay at the cashier's like, well, anything else? I'm like, let me tell you about Catan. We get together each week. Here's the thing. Come. I don't believe in board gaming that strongly that I would do that. But also, it's like I hang out with a doctor and we don't talk about doctoring. Now, if I'm interested, they'll bring it up. That's fine. But most people don't. Well, some people do. Some people talk about what they do all the time. Like I just mentioned, I know the Marlins chef. But I ask them about food we talk about. That's interesting to me. But I'm not necessarily sure me talking about board games is interesting to other people. So it just doesn't come up all the time. Really enjoyed the panel with Will Wheaton, bicycle games. Yeah, thank you. That was fun. After finishing Fables, what are some new comics you're reading in Hoopla? I haven't read anything in Hoopla for a long time now because, well, I was in the middle of a series and I stopped, and then I went back and started reading books, and now I'm back into books. So I kind of switch back and forth. Have you started to compile the top 100? No, I won't start compiling it till before we do it. It doesn't take me long to do my top 100 at this point. I've done it more than anyone else alive, probably. Here in Denmark, you can borrow board games from most public libraries. It works great. I know it happens in some place in America. I mean, Jen, who's on our board game breakfast, that's what she does. She runs a library and has board games at it. But not every library has it here. What do you find to be the most challenging part of running a convention? That's a good question. It's not the library. I love the library. Trying to please everybody. You would be surprised how upset people get over different things. So people get upset over if they want to use a room for something and they can't, or someone else uses that room, or there's cross purposes. Oh, wow, people get pretty upset. People will get upset if you allow kids, don't allow kids. People will get upset if any kind of thing. I'm still bothered. I don't get bothered by a lot of comments on the internet. I get bothered by ones for conventions, like Dice Tower Con. People said Tom came by and was very short when he talked to us. And I want to go back and time and slap me and say, Tom, these people wanted to talk to you. You were short. I don't even remember it. I guess I was rude. I didn't mean to be rude, but maybe I was in a hurry or something. And so just trying to please everyone, you can't please everybody. That's why the smaller conventions are more fun sometimes, because your chance of pleasing everybody is good. But even the cruise, I've had people complain on the cruise. They'll say, I didn't get to play with many other people. I stayed in my room the whole time, didn't see people. And that's probably the most challenging for me, is I want to make everybody happy. I want to make it an amazing experience. And invariably, someone is not happy. Someone goes home and they're upset about something, and that bothers you because you feel like, what could I have done to make it better for that person? You have to realize at some point you just can't. You can't make it good for everybody. But that is the most challenging thing. Have you heard about the Uno game show? I have. But yeah, it sounds horrible, actually. I mean, I'll give it a chance, I suppose, but whatever. I have no idea about the 2021 convention season. I'm assuming the vaccines will be approved and start being distributed. I don't know how long it will take. I don't know how much that will help. I'm assuming small conventions will likely require it at some point, but who knows? Tom, I'm the author of Gangsta, the trick-taking card game. Just to note, I'm from Chile, not Argentina, as you said in your last video. Wow, you're right. I must have said Argentina. I apologize. Very different country. But yeah, Chile. I knew it was from Chile, too. Well, that is a cool trick-taking game. I hope it gets published again in English. After reading so many comics, do you have a favorite writer and or artist? Here's the thing. I don't always know who writes. This is on me. I don't take note of who the artist is. I don't take notice of who the writer is. I know what stories I like, and I know when there's art I like and don't like. There's some I just don't like. And there's some art that I really like. But I have not paid attention to who writes or draws them. I know a lot of people do, and I probably should think about that more often. I just don't. I've always been curious to see what the rest of your studio looks like. Can you rotate the camera so we can see? I can't. It's too far away. It's so far away. So maybe another time. Do you have a favorite ornament for your tree? Yes. It's a stocking for Jack. Will there be a top anticipated games 2021 coming out? Oh, not till 2021. Nothing really comes out early 2021 anyway, so we do it early 2021. We did it with Rodney Smith this year. We did it earlier this year. We'll do the same thing this coming year. Where do I get my key lime pies? From Sweet Delights, it's called. Miss Debbie runs it. It's fantastic. Highly recommend it. Will we see a Dwellings Eldervale review this year? My hope is to do it next week. Not this week, but next week. We'll see. Where can we see a picture of Fluffy? Well, That's not very helpful. Let me get rid of that and that and that. There you go. Well, that's fluffy though as a puppy. She's bigger than that now. With the pandemic still looming over, what do you feel is still restrictive to your content making right now, like something that's still hard to adapt to? Well, I just love to have more people here in the studio. One of the things we wanted to do was fly people in and do things, or have people come in, and we just really can't do more of that. But other than that, I mean, I've been able to get a lot of stuff done. I had to play games and things, so I can't really complain. What upcoming top 10 lists you have? I already mentioned it. I'll mention it again. End of 2020. Top 10 games of 2020. Top 10 surprises of 2020. Top 10 cooperative games, party games, art components, kids games, and more. I don't believe I've read the Hangman's Daughter series. Always email me if you have a book thing about what, if you have a book recommendation, because if you mention it here, I'll forget to look it up later on. Right now, I am reading the first 15 lives of Harry August. And then after that, I plan to read this series called Divine Dungeon, or I'm going to start reading it. If it's garbage, I'll quit it. There's a lot of great artists of board games. Do you have any board game art on your walls at home? I do. I wish I had more, but it's just hard to find. Box 1 looks amazing. I don't know what that is. What's Box 1? If you were asked to sit down and write a list of all the games in the top 100 on Board Game Geek, how well do you think you would do? I would get at least 50, probably, but I would get a lot of them right. I don't know how many I would get right. I wouldn't get all 100, obviously. Did you ever hear anything further on Above Board? Yeah, that's still being worked on behind the scenes, and things and happening and changes. You know, this year with the COVID changed everything in that regard. So if there's anything changes there and that stuff, we'll announce it for sure. Tom, you don't know me. Will you help me move? Probably not. Will there be a group top 100 again? There will be. Love the live breakfast. Hate it. I missed it live. Actually, so we did the live breakfast today because I didn't have time to pre-record it. And I really like doing that one live. So I'd love to get feedback from people if they prefer me to do them live or if they like them pre-recorded. I mean, there's a little bit more work into doing them live, and we won't be able to do them live all the time because I'm not always here Mondays. But that's just an interesting idea. Have you given any more thoughts on opening that board game themed hotel? Well, as that would require multi-million-dollar investment, multi-$10 million investment, probably not. I only think about these things like in dreams and stuff. I don't put a lot more effort into them. Assuming 2020 would probably be the worst year to open a hotel anyway. Best film trilogy in your opinion? Voting for Lord of the Rings over here? Oh, indeed. Lord of the Rings. And that's only because Infinity War was a dual movie, not a trilogy. But that being said, yes, Lord of the Rings. When is the next Dice Tower Kickstarter, and can you tease us a hint of a promo we might expect? Well, we're going to run it in January, and I can tell you a promo that we'll expect. We're going to have our own little set of expansion cards for Ultimate Werewolf with the Dice Guys as werewolves and stuff. I think that you will enjoy that. I've already shown a bit of it to the werewolf group, and so I'm very excited about that. Do you ever feel apprehensive about reviewing one of Mythic games in fear that it might not be too good, and giving it less than positive review might indirectly upset Sam? Well, sure. I think about that with every company. I think about whenever I review a game, I'll be like, oh, I know that publisher, and I feel bad. I'm about to say something bad about their game. Like, I didn't like Deep Vents at all. I'm like, oh, man, Ryan Lockett's such a nice guy, but I really didn't like that game. And I think about that. But we're not afraid to do it. If you can see, Z reviewed Reichbusters earlier this year and did not give it a very high review. And Z reviewed it instead of me because Z gave it a higher review than I would have. So we're not afraid to say negative things about the companies, even the ones that financially support us. That is a guaranteed. In fact, we did a paid playthrough of a game, expansion actually, that I'm reviewing this week. I'm not giving it a good review. I didn't like it. So yeah, we think about these things. It doesn't feel good to do them, but at the end of the day, y'all are the people that we're doing this for, and it would be unhelpful to you if we pulled our punches in that regard. Although, it was funny, one of the comments on the Reichbusters review said something to the effect of, you guys are getting back at Sam for leaving by giving it a bad review. Like, what? How would that? Just... Sure, yes. Ha ha ha. You left us when you were in your new company. We'll trash the games. Did you do any Black Friday shopping? I did not, actually. Oh, wait, did I? Oh, yeah, I bought a few board game related small things on Black Friday. I might have bought them the day before. But I was talking to my family about this today. They're like, oh, there's sales today. I said, yeah, I know there's sales, but if we don't need the things, then I shouldn't be buying them, right? What do you think of the latest episode of Mandalorian? Well, as I said on Facebook, I now think The Mandalorian is better than all the movies. Now, I wouldn't fight to the death over that. I still like a lot of the Star Wars movies, but I love The Mandalorian. Easily in my top TV shows ever. We love it as a family. I swear, a couple of my daughters are sitting here just to see the baby Yoda, gurgle or whatever, or just look happy. That makes them happy. But the things are good. And the name that was mentioned at the end of the last episode thrilled me to the core. My favorite Star Wars character ever. I saw the panel you were on, moderated by Will Wheaton. Any chance that he will be a special guest for a top 10 list in the future? I really need to email him about that, I guess. I didn't know he really knew a lot about the Dice Tower, but he really said nice things about the Dice Tower to us. So maybe, you never know. But don't hold your breath either. Mr. Wheaton's a very busy person. What was my first car? I know I should remember this. It was blue. I bought it for $2,000 and I sold it for $250 with the caveat that the person who bought it had to drag it off my lawn. It was a car that needed to be charged every time we started it. A teenage boy bought it. He showed up with his grandfather to check it out. And I was very honest. Like, you got to charge it every time it starts. There's something wrong with the who knows what. I don't know enough about cars to care. So he bought it. And that was when I went to Korea. So I didn't need a car. And I wanted that extra cash. Hola. When in Korea, we only owned one yellow van. It was a Kia. And then I haven't owned that many vehicles in my life, really. I owned those 2 vehicles. Then we came back here. We had that 15 passenger or 12 passenger Ford van, which one, as soon as Melody went to college, got rid of that sucker. And now we just have 2 vehicles now. And I'm not even sure what my vehicle is out there. It's a black vehicle, black car. I only have so much room in my brain for stuff, folks. And if you expect me to know the designer and graphic designer of different games, then you can't expect me to know the name of my car, the brand of my car, because that sort of thing is no good. I'm actually sad, though, because we just changed our license plate. And I knew what our license plate was. It was like 020 TPK. That's no longer my license plate. But I always remember Total Party Kill. Was the thing. I was going to get my own custom license plate, and then every time I look to do that, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get a custom license plate. They cost that much? Okay, never mind. At what point during game design, should a designer look for a publisher? As soon as possible, or rather as late as the design is finished? I think you would want the design to be mostly finished first. Do I know what the game Catan is? I do. It's a very popular game. I've played it quite a few times. And my favorite one is a small expansion called The Fisherman of Catan. So I don't know if you can buy that one separately or not, but that is a really fun little expansion for it. What chairs does Daystar use in the studio? Have you tried a high-end office chairs like the Era? No. We use these chairs. These are church chairs. I thought about this because I was thinking about chairs, and I needed chairs that we could have and also stack, instead of just dragging them all over the place. And these work in that regard. They're extremely comfortable. They're made for people who aren't necessarily thin, and they can stack. I really like them. I highly recommend you doing that. I'm thinking about getting them for my house. Well, when my kids are a little older, because, they're not really good with food. Are you bombarded by fans at local game stores? No. Let's see here. Did you get around to reading the second Stormlight novella, Dawnjar, before Rhythm of War? No, apparently he only released it a week beforehand, and I found out about it when I got Rhythm of War, and I wasn't going to go back and read the novella. I was like, no. I plan to. I've already got it on my thing. It's in my queue to read. Tom, why not do the top 10s before the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales? Why would I do them then? I know, because then you can go buy this stuff. But I want to wait as long as possible to do our end of the year stuff. Even now, we're doing them a little earlier, probably. There's no way we're going to get everything played by the end of the year anyway. But because I delayed to where they are now, there's a couple games. There's actually one game in my top 10 that wouldn't have been there otherwise. And there's other games that I've played, and there's a game that just hit one of my lists because I played it yesterday morning. So the longer I wait, there's a chance of a game hitting or not. Tom, if you join the TI4 game on the cruise, you'll please everyone. Yeah, I'm only going to please those people playing that game. This is actually why I tend to play shorter games at cons if I can, because I can play with more people that way. What do you top your tree with? A classic star or something special? It's a star, but it's one of the stars that has lights on it. We like the lights. We love lights. Wait, isn't her name Fuzzy? Did I say Fluffy? Y'all are messing me up. Yes, her name is Fuzzy. Why am I saying Fluffy now? It's fuzzy, fuzzy, fuzzy. Tom, when you do your thoughts on your reviews, were they rehearsed, scripted, or off the top of your head? It's hard to say. They're not necessarily off the top of my head because I think about what I'm going to say before I say it, but I'm saying this stuff with no script, no notes or anything. I'm just saying it. I think about it in my head. There have been a few times where I've done notes because I really needed to mention specific things. So for good or for ill, that's just how I operate. All righty. Well, that's it, folks. I apologize. I know there's a lot more questions and stuff. People are talking about, if you do the breakfast live, I would love the timestamps to be put in after the fact. That's true. That's true. I didn't spoil anything from the new Star Wars episode. Come on now. I just said it was good. And if good is a spoiler at this point, I don't know what else to tell you. Alrighty. Well, anyhow, folks, thanks so much for watching. No more live stuff today that I know of. There might be a no strings attached tonight. I'm not sure. But we'll be back Wednesday with crowd surfing. Meanwhile, I got a lot of top 10s to record and reviews. A lot of good reviews coming out this week. I'm excited to talk about them. So I hope you enjoy it. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Question and Answer on the Dice Tower.